What's happening, Reggie, bro? You good, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm sorry. My mom's dog is a menace. She's
No,
an ankle biter. And
no.
my dad and my coach is in Kansas City at Nationals with a few of our amateur boxers. So I'm staying over here with my mom to, you know, she ain't got to be by herself and get a little relaxation, some mental
Yeah,
comfort before my fight.
custody, bro. I really appreciate you coming on the Fuse UK, mate. It's much appreciated.
Thank you for having me on. This is actually the first time I've ever done an interview with a company across the pond. So for me, it was an honor, man. Thank you so much. It means it's growing. You know, the reach is growing. There are more people seeing the work that's been done, and hopefully one day I'll get to come over there and fight. In one of the bare knuckle cards over there in the UK, and meet Sean George and Jimmy Sweeney, because those are two of my idols right there. I absolutely love those two men. They're one of the both of them are one of the reasons why I kind of got into legalized bare knuckle.
Yeah. Hey there, bro. I've what you call it, been a massive fan of you for a while since you come in the BKFC. All your fights, they've been entertaining, mate. You're a classy boxer, which you don't see much of in the BKFC. Good
Yeah,
boxers.
yeah. I'm more I guess geared for the BKB style of bare knuckle. I've grown up boxing. It's more gentleman boxing style. I've
Yeah.
always done that. I've adjusted for competing in bare knuckle fighting championships. I've grown as a fighter in retrospect to their style as far as the clinching and all that. But when it comes to the basic boxing skills, that's my expertise. That's my forte.
Yeah. So where did it all start for you? Because it seems like it's a family thing, the boxing. Have you been in boxing since you've been like a young child?
I've been boxing since I was 4 years old. My dad was a Navy boxer, an amateur, really accomplished Navy boxer, and he would take me to the gym with him when I was little. And
Yeah.
he said I put on a pair of gloves and started hitting the bag, and I kind of haven't looked back. Um, I got in a little trouble in my teen and young adult years. Took me out of the game for a little while, but by the grace of God, I found my way back to the sport. And now I'm just using it to be, a sounding board to inspire others and to essentially chase my dream and do something positive with myself.
Yeah, good, bro. So you've done also other combat sports as well, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. So I am a professional boxer, professional mixed martial artist, and professional bare knuckle fighter. I call it the combat trio. um, Hopefully, one of these days before I retire, I really want to do a left weight fight.
Yeah.
And I also want to do a professional kickboxing. I had a goal right before COVID started and, took over the world. I wanted to compete in every combat professional sport in 1 year. And we were poised to do that. And then COVID happened. And it kind of, derailed everything. And then I had another child. And so the focus was just, right back to bare knuckle, because I couldn't get anybody to box me anymore. None of the boxers over here in the United States want to go with me. They look at my boxing record, which is only 6-2, like my bare knuckle record, but then they look at what I've accomplished in bare knuckle, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't want to fight that guy." I had a lot of boxing matches turned down over the last couple of years because I have been fighting bare knuckle. And then MMA, I just kind of stepped away because I still grapple every now and then when we're in camp for a fight. There is no jiu-jitsu training. There is no no-gi grappling or anything like that. But, and that's the reason why I haven't really stepped back into the cage as far as competing in mixed martial arts.
Yeah. So with you saying that you wanted to try the left way out, I'm
Yeah.
presuming you've seen King of the Streets.
I watched a David Leduc fight and I fell in love with left way. I just, it's for me, fighting is always looking for the next challenge, the next rawest form, and bare knuckle for me was just getting to that next rawest form. I did a lot of street fighting as a kid. A lot of people over here know my underground record is 23-2 as far as bare knuckle. But that was also at a time of my life where I was in a dark place and I was kind of lost. And I won't say that I was fully taken advantage of because I knew what I was doing. I'm not, but I was involved with some people who used my skill and my prowessness, you know, for their own gain. And that's kind of why I fell in love with that rawness of fighting. You know, so when you talk about left weight, it's you know, when you add the kicks and the knees and the elbows and the headbutts and all that, you know, to a bare knuckle fight, which is essentially what left weight is, there you're talking about truly, you know, another raw form of combat sports. And that's always what I'm looking for, that next challenge, to feel like I was in a fight. Win, lose, or draw, at the end of the day, I want to know that, you know, whether my eyes cut open, missing teeth, whatever, I want to know that I was in a fight. And that feeling makes me feel alive. I know that's kind of crazy, but for me, that the fear of the what if when you go into a fight is to me the feeling of being alive. You know, when the ref looks at you and he asks you, "Are you ready?" At that point, you have no choice. You know, it's either knuck up or shut up, and I'm knucking up every time.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. It's an organization called King of the Streets. It's massive.
I have to look at it. Is that where Leduc is fighting out? I haven't really followed too many.
After the podcast, and you can check it out. But it's brutal. Like, people have won fights by eye gouging and stuff like that. But it's like
it's a street fight. You know, it's essentially a street fight.
Concrete floors.
When I was a teenager, I think I was 18, 19 years old. I was down in Mississippi, in the country part of Mississippi, here in the United States, and I ended up getting kind of, I can't think of the word. I won't say tricked, just salute into fighting in this underground. But woo, wow! I'm outside. Look, you see, I got good head movement though. And I ended up fighting 5 guys in one night in like this man-made freaking dog kennel cage. And the very first fight, I was actually in mount. Like, I was on top of the guy, getting ready to elbow him. And he sat up. He was so strong and headbutted me in my nose. And he broke it instantly. And I looked at him like, oh, this is no hold bars. This is my kind of party. Eye gouge, headbutt. You know, so when you talk about, you know, just getting nitty gritty and raw, if that's what the rules allow for, then I'm there. You know, I want to fight. But of course, you know, I'm a gentleman and I'm a sportsman. So as far as, you know, organized combat sports and all that go, I play by the rules and to the best of my ability. And I go out there and just leave it in the square circle, the ring, the cage, wherever I'm fighting. I fought in backyards. I fought in somebody's living room to settle a dispute between 2 gangs. I fought in the streets plenty of times. I can't even tell you how many times. And that in itself is really dangerous. I was telling one of my fighters last night, he was playing around and just sparring with some random guy, and he put it on video, and they were at a skate park over concrete. You know, and all it takes is one good shot and somebody fall. And I seen it with my own eyes, you know, not the punch that injured them. It was them hitting their head on the concrete floor. So
that's what, like that King of the Streets. That's the only thing I don't really agree with, how they fight on concrete floors. They've just done a show in England and the UK, and they fought in like an ice rink.
Oh yeah, see, that's you know, fighting is blood sport, and it's a life or death sport in itself all the time. So when you don't take any extra safety precautions, you know, that I feel like things like that are really, really irresponsible for not even just the person that's putting on the event, but the fighter in himself. You know, like, it's one thing to know that you could go in and possibly kill this man with the tools of your body or whatever you're going to use fighting them, but when you are doing it in a space or an area that could, you know, also result in them obtaining serious injury, it's a little irresponsible to me. You know, you see kids, you know, posting YouTube videos and stuff like that, and they're out here sparring on tennis courts and basketball courts and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, you guys are really, really risking your future or competing or anything when you do things like that. And there's always a grassy knoll somewhere. You know,
that King of the Streets, though, it's illegal, but they've got like, I think, over 1 million followers on Instagram. Pay-per-view events, they all wear like balaclavas. Mate, I'll have to send you it.
Send me a link to that, man. I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
I gotta check that out.
Do you prefer the rawness of it being the bare knuckle, or do you prefer the gloves? And is it the same
No. I hate I won't. My dad says don't say that, so I won't, because I know he'll be offended. I am not excited for boxing anymore. I had close to 200 amateur boxing matches, and yeah, I can't remember. It's like in the 160s or something like that. I did a lot of fighting as a kid. My dad was in the Navy, and he'd be gone, 6 months out on the submarine. He'd come home and we'd get to work. And all summer we'd travel up and down the East Coast, a little bit towards the South. And he would take me to tournaments, and we'd get there on Wednesday. We'd weigh in and we'd fight Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or we'd get there on Tuesday and we would fight all week long. And as long as I kept winning, I would fight. I guess for me, my biggest tournament win was the Mid-Atlantic tournament in 2008. We started fighting on Monday. We weighed in that Sunday. Monday I fought, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to the next Sunday, and I won every single fight. And that's how I accumulated so many amateur fights at one time. And when you're competing in tournaments and you're fighting, every other day or every day, it lets you get more experience and it lets you build up a record. But I won't say I was like the elitist.
Sure. Yeah. Boxing area. I did. My bad, but I never made it to a national tournament. Regionals in the United States is as far as I've gone, but I just enjoyed boxing for a while, and then it got boring, and that's what started doing it. When I asked my dad to start competing in mixed martial arts, he's like, "What the hell? We're boxers. You're not getting in the cage." And so against his own wishes, I drove hours away from home at 18 years old when I finally turned 18 and took my first MMA fight, got my ass kicked in 30 seconds, got lost on my way back home.
So have you been used to kicks and that, or have you always just been a fist man?
Hold on. 1 second.
It's all right, mate.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sound.
All right. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb right quick. People keep calling me and I forgot. All right, we're good now. All right. My bad. What was your question now? My apologies.
I can't even remember what I said now. Does your dad approve with the bare knuckle?
No. Well, now, yes. And it's crazy because it was the same for both things. When I started doing MMA, I got my butt kicked my first 3 fights as an amateur, and then I finished my amateur MMA career 15-5. So you do the math. I lost my first 3 fights back to back, but I finished my career 15-5. And one of the fights that I lost, I did roughly 3 years in prison here. And I got out on a Wednesday. And that same Saturday of the week I got out, I fought for an amateur MMA title. And I lost in the last round. And that was my last amateur MMA fight. And that was actually my last fight as an amateur, period. I said, you know what? If I'm going to get knocked out ever again, I'm getting paid for it at least. But when bare knuckle started, same thing. My dad's like, we're not bare knuckle fighters, we're boxers, like, what are you thinking? But I got to give a big shout out to my godbrother, Mike Royster. He believed in me. He believed in the dream and the vision that I had for this sport in my life and wanting to do it. And so he took me to that first bare knuckle tryout, BKFC tryout in 2016. Yeah. And the rest is history. I was hands down the best fighter there. And I will always say that. I don't care nobody on the face of this planet can argue that I was not the best fighter at the first ever bare knuckle tryout. And we just waited for that phone call. And then in 2018, we made history again here in America and participated in the first legally sanctioned bare knuckle fight in like 130 years on American soil. And here I am now getting ready at a third shot at I guess it's an interim title, world title, whatever. At this point, I don't even really care about titles, man. I just want to go out there and have a good fist fight and have some fun and get paid to do what I love to do for a living.
So how did you feel when you first got your bare knuckle debut? Did it feel like the nerves and what have you? Did it feel like you were going into a professional fight or sort of street fight? Or did just
I was. If you go back and watch that fight, You know, it's on YouTube, me versus Travis Thompson. My reaction off the line, you know, showed the world that I was ready for this sport. You know, like there was no fear in me going into that fight. I think, and I'll just be honest, the only fight that I was really fretful going into was the first Bedford fight. And me and my buddies were talking about it the other day, and he's like, why? He's like, you seem like you don't ever, you know, you love fighting. Why were you scared? I said, because it was the first time I had ever fought in a fight of that magnitude. To go from fighting in garages and out in the street and, you know, in the underground places to having the cameras and the lights and, you know, and all that stuff in your face was different.
On the Bedford fight as well, wasn't it? It was a bit like a big event.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was the first ever, you know, 135-pound championship fight in history in a long time. I think in history, period. You know, a lot of the old school bare knuckle fights was predominantly heavyweight. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it just, and I won't say that I let it get to me, you know, because I got off the canvas 3 times and still took it to Johnny, you know. And then we fought again last August. I was a little perturbed about the decision that came out in the fight. One of the judges scored it 50-44, which I felt was really disrespectful. They didn't give me not a round. And I know Johnny will tell you himself that I won a couple of rounds in that fight, if not at least earned myself a draw to the point where we should have had a sudden death 6th round. So, but I've grown past that. I've matured as a person, as a man, as a fighter. We've worked on those things, not just physically, but also mentally, because part of the fight game is not just about physical, it's about mental. Yeah, and so all of that going into this fight next weekend, I don't even really care about the lights and the cameras and the belts and the titles or whatever. I'm looking forward to, it's almost been a year. I'm looking forward to getting back to work. I'm looking forward to punching somebody in the face with a bare knuckle and not having to worry about getting in trouble for it or going to jail. And just, you know, having fun doing what I love to do.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing fight, mate. What do you think of your next opponent, Grant? What do you think of him?
Jared is a good kid. He has really, really solid basic boxing skills. You know, I don't think he's ever competed other than in bare knuckle on the level that I have or against the kind of competition that I have as far as, you know, in combat sport. But I take nothing away from him, you know, because he's just like me. He's hungry, you know, he's dedicated, he's consistent, you know, and he's still young and he's still growing as a fighter and a man. He's still coming into his own. And when you have a man like that, they're still dangerous, you know, because I was at that point, you know, but I have a bit more experience. And I feel like when it gets down to the nitty gritty, which it is, you know, I'm expecting it to. I'm not sleeping on. Everybody's like, oh, you're overlooking Jared. I'm not at all. You know, I'm not looking past him. I'm looking right at him. You know, I know what he brings to the table. He knows what I bring to the table. So I'm looking forward to us bringing the best out of each other and both being able to go out there, no matter, you know, how it goes. I plan on winning 100% in my mind. I don't see it going any other way, but it's bringing out the best in each other and producing one of the best bare knuckle fights, you know, of all time at 135 pounds.
Yep, definitely. And what a fight it will be, mate. Are your plans for the future, Reggie, to stay in the BKFC?
I told Dave I'm ride or die. I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off, until they don't want me anymore. Yeah. You know, I would like to do, if anything, a cross promotion fight. You know, BKFC top fighter fight a BYB or a BKB top fighter. I think that would change the fight game itself as far as bare knuckle. It would bring it, you know, it's growing. It's a growing sport all over the world. But at some point, if you take the top guys from different organizations and pit them against each other, it's only going to make it explode. You know, and I'm hoping that when, you know, before it's all said and done, before I retire from this sport, that I get an opportunity to be one of those guys who walks across that bridge and gets to be a crossover fight where you have the best of one organization fighting the best of another organization. That would be the future for me and a career-ending goal, you know, to accomplish as far as competing in bare knuckle.
Yeah, sweet. Well, David, when I spoke to him on the podcast, he's going to, and he also said at the press conference in London, he's going to be doing a few shows in the UK. And this,
Yep.
see on my t-shirt here, the BFBA.
Yeah, I just saw. For the first time, I watched some BFB. I had been watching the BKB. Like I said, I fell in love with Sean George and him as a fighter, and he knows that. And yeah, I've messaged him. He's messaged me. He seems like a really great guy. I can't wait to actually one day get over there to the UK and meet him in person. And then I started watching the BFB. And like I said, there are so many different leagues popping up with different level and different types of competition. I hope that one day we can bridge that gap. And, you know, like boxing is boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you talk about boxing, it's boxing. And you have guys from, you know, I was just actually, I'm a fighting buff. I was actually laying on the couch, you know, relaxing. I was watching Oscar De La Hoya versus I Corte. You know, so you have De La Hoya, who's from the United States, fighting I Corte, who's from Ghana. And there's no league. There's no, oh, he fights for this organization, and oh, he fights for their boxers. And boxing is boxing, and they fight. You know, they're from different parts of the world, but they're still competing in the same sport. For me, you know, beyond the politics of organizational loyalty and all that, I'm hoping that even if it's past my time where I'm no longer even competing in the sport of bare knuckle, that it's just bare knuckle, you know, and you have the best in the world over here and the best in the world over here. And it's one solidified sport, and everybody is fighting the best. The best are fighting the best from wherever the world, you know? And because that's what boxing is. And we would hope that one day, you know, guys can sit down and unify and bring that out for not just us fighters, but for the world. When that happens, you know, then nobody can ever have a solid argument against bare knuckle fighting again.
I always used to say it'd be better like in MMA. This was like before bare knuckle and that got big. I used to say they should do it like boxing, like you have the WBC, the WBO, where it should be like the UFC belt, the Bellator belt, and they should all be able to fight each other and have the Bellator belt, the UFC belt. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah, you know, and even in MMA, I think because MMA's model, you know, created that division. MMA in itself, you know, and the Zupa brothers and the UFC and all that, they created that model where, you know, it has to be this organization or that organization, and you either fight for us or you fight for them, but you can't fight. You know, they made that. Yeah, it's about I was just about to say it, right? But if it's not benefiting the people behind them who are profiting from it, then nobody's ever going to truly be willing to do that. You know? So, and we know how this world works.
Yeah,
it is about money, and unless the pockets of the people, the powers that be, whatever the heck you want to call it, are getting lined the way that they want to get lined, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But like I said, hopefully in my son's era of bare knuckle, he'll just be not the BKFC bare knuckle world champion. He'll just be the bare knuckle world champion.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. So. I think you, bro. And before we wrap it up, Reggie, is there any sponsors or anything you'd like to say on the channel before we go?
Yeah, I have a crap load of sponsors, man. S&N Sweets, thank you so much for your support. Fight Bros, check them out on Facebook. Fight His MMA, big shout out to Miss Nikki. She's been ride or die for me since the very first fight in Wyoming. Ashore Construction here at home. Nate Price, thank you for just, you know, taking time out of your busy schedule in your life to support me. Joiner Driving School. Anybody here local, you know, because I know you in the UK, but anybody local right here, if you need some driver improvement, hit up JDIS definitely. J&K Style Grill. We're doing a meet and greet / send off, and I'm going to do a little seminar for the kids on Saturday from 5 to 7. It's in College Park in Virginia Beach, Virginia. If anybody catches that, hold on. I got to make sure I don't miss anybody, and my managers are going to yell at me. Let's just do this a little.
You send me a list after this.
Yeah, we go do it. We go do it a little old fashioned anyway. I don't mind. Normally, I keep a little piece of paper in my pocket so I don't ever forget, because my momager stays on me about it. But so we got My sponsors. We got SNN, J&K, JDIS, Fight Heads. I did Fight Bros, Quality Cuts, which is like I said, another local sponsor. Gordon Customs. It's amazing. Yeah, I already got Ashore Construction, JDIS. Okay. Is that all? MKD. I want to give a big shout out to Tony Mills up in New York for his continued support, his love, helping me out. Grindstone Athletics. That's our affiliate gym here. I can't tell you, like, we took Muay Thai and added it to bare knuckle, and the cross between those two things bred an entire new fighting system within bare knuckle fighting championships. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch a couple of my fights, and then watch some of the fights after my fights, and you see guys using my clinch techniques, using my moves and stuff that we created in that gym. Even Britton Hart, I got a chance to train with her for a little while. She's coming off a big win in her rematch with Beck Rollins, and she uses some of what we created. So to see the lineage of Educated Hands just continue to grow if I missed anybody, I'll definitely send the list over. Yeah. And thank you so much for having me on Diffuse UK. You have no idea how honored I am just to, I'm in another country, man. You reached out to me. That is so humbling. It is, for me, that is so humbling, man.
You're a quality fighter, mate. It's amazing you're being on the show. It's much appreciated. Also,
hey,
mate,
man.
You've got, I know the tickets are out for your fight now. Where can
Come again?
I know the tickets are out for your fight now. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you want to watch the fight, it's taking place July 23rd, live on the BKTV app. You can go to my Instagram page, _EAZ_E. That's easy. And click on my link to subscribe, or you can reach out to my manager directly, Kim Barnett. And we have a couple tickets left. We got some VIPs. You can come sit at the table with the rest of the team. Oh. Hold on. I'm forgetting. Damnedware. My bad. My buddy Warren down in Florida. Damnedware. It sounds crazy when you say Damnedware, but it is a company that is focused in giving back to the kids and cleaning up the community in Miami, Florida. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to my buddy Warren Kennedy. Anytime I'm down there, Kevin St. Clair, down in Florida too. Guys, I mean, like I said, I have a list of 15, 20. It's crazy the amount of support and love and people who believe in this, but they also see the work that I put in. Nobody outworks me. Nobody trains harder than me. I think today is like the first day I kind of just chilled out, but I know I have practice from 7 this evening till midnight tonight. So it's 5-hour practice right there. So.
Sweet. And big shout to Kim Barnett as well for sorting the interview out. Big respect.
Yeah, thank you. My momager is what we call her. Everybody's like, why don't you, get, like signed with a management company or because, and I tell people, nobody is going to ride for you more than somebody who doesn't want anything for you other than to see you succeed. And my father is my coach. My brothers are my trainers, and my mom is my manager, because I know that they don't, at the end of the day, I pay all of them. This is still a business. I pay them for their work, but they really just want to see me win in life, and for me, that's what I want to see other people do. No matter what you do out there, if you have a dream, you're inspired by something, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. I am living proof. We always say from prison to pay-per-view. Guys like me, most people look over and don't give another opportunity to. But if you're willing to go out there and work for it and show the people that matter that you're willing to work for it, then they'll get behind you. So if you got a dream, go out there and chase it. I'm chasing and I'm living mine at the same time, and I wouldn't have this life any other way. And then a big shout out to the man upstairs, God himself, because there were times when I gave up on myself and he didn't give up on me. And that's why I'm here, and I'm able to be a voice for the people.
Sweet, brother. And don't forget, people, I'm going to put Reggie's, all his social medias in the description. So don't forget to head over to his social medias and subscribe to him. But nice one again,
Thank
Reggie.
you so much. Oh, and we just got it going too. I got a new TikTok. It's called NJ's Educated Hands. We're chronicling my little man. I wanted him to be a space explorer, but at 2 years old, he's already following in his dad's footsteps.
Class.
I didn't want him to be a fighter, but he's growing up in the gym. He's in the gym with me every day. So check out our TikTok, NJ's Educated Hands, and watch little man grow. He's going to be not a bare knuckle fighter, but I know eventually one day he'll be a world champion. So
sweet, bro.
Thank you so much for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to send me that link to them fights.
Send it straight over now.
I gotta check that out, man. I gotta check that out.
Check it out straight away and let me know what you think, mate.
All right, keep in touch, man. Maybe we'll do a post fight when I'm sitting here with the strap across my shoulder.
100%, mate. Definitely.
All right, you have a blessed day, sir.
You too, mate. All the best, Reggie. See you later, bro.